A lot of these things may not have come to the press, may not have come to the media. Oh, we have not seen what you are doing. I can tell you, we've been working tirelessly, 24/7, to serve you. So I'll let you know some of those things that we are doing. Like they say that the chicken sweats, but the feathers will not reveal it. We're working. Believe in us that we're working. Trust us that we are working for you and we will achieve results. So I'll let you have a copy of that. The issues with the electricity supply value chain, they are very, very simple issues, like I always say. But they are in multiples. There are very many of them. And if I start listing these issues, everybody here will tell me, this is the solution. If I say, okay, there's a shortage of gas supply, you say, pay for gas, let them give you gas. If I tell you there are no meters, what is there? Acquire meters and install it. If I say that, our power lines are weak, transmission lines, reconduct line, do a reconductoring of the lines. If I say, the poles are falling for distribution, buy new poles. I say, okay, collections is low for the discos. You tell us, I'll chase the debtors, get your collections. These are very simple issues, truly. But as simple as they are, why have we not solved these issues in the past 60 years? Which we all know that then something fundamental must be wrong. So there are multiple simple technical operational problems across all segments in the value chain, from the supply of gas to the thermal plants, to the operations of the turbines themselves, to evacuation of power generated, to transmission, that's long distance transport of power to load centers, to poor infrastructure for distribution, weak power lines, falling poles, inadequate meter, huge meter gap, tripping off of injection substations, feeders, and all that. These are issues, and they are multiple. But they are made complicated by lack of sustaining liquidity and infrastructural funding, as well as structural misalignment within the sector. That is the complications. Liquidity, funding of investment and infrastructure improvements, and lack of compliance with market rules in this sector. If we're able to solve these complications, I can tell you the other issues are too simple to resolve. Because electricity may look abstract to a lot of us, but it is not different from the normal economic goods and services that we consume on a daily basis, because it involves just 3 segments in the value chain, which is production, in layman's language, transportation, and delivery. Production is the generation, which can come from hydropower plants as a source. It can come from thermal plants using gas. It can come from solar. It can come from wind. Any other biogas source. The transportation is what we refer to as transmission, which is transportation over a long distance from the power generating company's location to where the power is required, which is the load or demand center. That's transmission. Then the last segment is distribution. That is delivery. That is delivery into doorsteps of power consumers, which is households, businesses, and industries. It is not more than that. That is the value chain. But does the value chain operate on a natural economic model? Does it? If we cannot solve that issue, and there are ways to solve it, multiple ways to solve it. Any goods and services supply chain that follows a natural economic model of production, transportation, distribution, pricing, payment, collection, go back to production, transport again, deliver, collect. That is the cycle. It must be sustainable. The cycle must have a continual life. The continuity is only guaranteed by the model upon which it is operated, which is pricing. The liquidity will not be a problem. The operators will have enough money to do production, to transport, to deliver. And when they want to do expansion, if they don't have equity to go back and expand production, this value chain will be attractive to banks. It will be bankable. Banks will give loans for expansion in terms of growing your production. They will only do that because they can see a line of sight that the money that you are putting in as a lender, it will come back for repayment. Because as the goods and services are moving, are gravitating towards consumption. After consumption, the payment for it must also gravitate back to the players in the sector. Those that will handle delivery will be paid. That's distribution. Those that are handling transportation will be duly paid, which is transmission. Those that are producing will be paid. And the people producing also have raw materials as input. In this case, gas. So there's no stoppage or distortions to liquidity flow. But if we are only supplying and we are not being paid, there is a problem with the producer, which is the generator. If they are being owed, it will be tough for them to pay for raw materials to continue production or generation. So, in the long run, you might grant to ground zero, whereby the entire sector will break down. But the second option is, if we don't want to charge commercial pricing and subsidy is pledged by government, which is what I also prefer. I'm a Nigerian, and Nigerians are suffering. This is not the time to completely remove subsidy from tariffs. I was at two of our generating planners. I granted some interviews and all, and I was misquoted by some media that, Adelabu is advocating removal of subsidy. That is a lie, it's a misrepresentation. I'm a Nigerian, I know Nigerians are under hardships, and we must not add to it. We must devise a way to ensure that this is tackled without giving further hardship on people. But the only condition that I mentioned is that if government is pledging subsidy, we as government, we must be ready to fund it. There must be federal government guarantee, probably cash backed for this subsidy. Otherwise, we'll grant the sector to zero. And I used simple examples. If 120 naira is the cost reflective or commercial tariff of power, and you are charging 20, out of the 120 naira, 50 naira belongs to the distribution companies. 10 naira belongs to transmission company and the regulators. And 16 naira belongs to the generation companies. If you are charging the commercial tariff, we'll collect 120 from customers, we'll pay distributors, discos 50 naira, we'll pay transmitters 10 naira, we'll pay gencos 60 naira. But if government says, I want to relieve my people of this hardship, please do not pay 120 naira. It is allowed. And I'm an advocate of subsidy regime. If it is properly applied and is funded, you can say, okay, instead of 120 naira, charge the customers or the people 60 naira, which means that I'm ready to add 60 naira. The discos will collect the 60 naira from customer. They are the ones collecting. The first thing they will do is to deduct their own at source. They will deduct 50 naira. And their minimum remittance order will be 10 naira. And they will give the middleman, NBET, 10 naira. This 10 naira, if you're able to pay transmission companies 10 naira, what about the 60 naira that is supposed to go to the gencos? Which is why this debt keeps piling up, because we are not really funding the subsidies. And it didn't just start.